There we go. Bases dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on SDH. It's amazing what happens when you, I don't know, click the right button. And that's where we are this morning because I'm trying my damnedest and have been trying my damnedest for quite some time to figure out what in the wide world of sports is wrong with the Big 55. And I literally have been working on it and balancing out, trying to make sure that the rowdy man gets his time and gets his morning squared away. So I have been trying my damnedest ever since I can go backward in time to figure out what in the wide world of sports is going on, and I've yet to figure it out. So I don't know what's up with the Big 55 this morning. We got issues, and it better not have been something where this morning came downstairs and the printer was offline. And so now I'm looking at the what I may do is I may reset the cable at some point after the show's over, but I'm short-handed. The big 55 off to my left, not behaving. So what I may end up doing is reset the whole thing with the cable and see if that works. But yeah, I've been trying since well too early this morning to figure out what the heck's wrong with the big 55. I've yet to figure it out. But plug it in, plug it back in, change the batteries in the remote, change the different remote. I'm getting nothing but a staring contest of black. So we will see what happens with the Big 55. And the Big 55 was off last night, so I'm guessing it has something to do with the cable in the overnight, and we will figure it all out. So morning, John, hear you there. And it's Thursday Thoughts. Hour number 2 is what it always is. It's the Power Hour with Nino and Niko, our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV. And I got to talk to Nino about something. What Nino does, for those of you who do not have Gold TV and need to get Gold TV, and you can get that at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. And you can become a true degenerate. Good morning, Alex. Like me, thanks to Jason. So Jason got me hooked. I blame him. When you get onto Fanatis and you catch up with our buddy Nino on Gold TV, Nino calls the matches in Portugal. We'll have the continuing saga, what's going on there, with Ruben Amorim trying to take half of the Sporting CP roster with him now that he is at Manchester United. And you could say, Nuestro Telesitio for the fans, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, all the BNs. You end up with a lot of Central and South American soccer all in one place. So I was watching on the weekend, and what I traditionally try to do, and I guess this technically is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us, however you're accessing us this morning, large device or small. You go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com through that QR code right there on the screen. Start your day with Kickoff Coffee. Then they, in turn, once you use Soccer Down Here 15 at checkout, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked, courtesy of our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So there you go. And when I was trying to figure out the games, because we always want to make sure that we know what games Nino is doing. So they're always the top of the ladder stuff, whether it's Uruguay or Portugal or what have you. And so when you're buzzing through all of the matches that are there, I stopped on one of the Portugal matches, and it was the matchup that Sporting ended up losing, their first loss of the year to Santa Maria. Santa Maria was a big underdog, and we'll go into this discussion coming up with him at 10 o'clock this morning in hour number 2. And I was watching late in the match when it appeared that Sporting was going to lose their first match of the year. And I give the man full credit because he's got his WhatsApp dialed up from the absolute beginning. And he's looking at his WhatsApp groups and all of his, I'll have to ask him about his layout, because I think that they have something the equivalent of what we used to refer to as TweetDeck. And so he can look at all of his groups and all of his notifications and conversations that folks are having with him during a match and all this kind of stuff. So I was conversating with him late on his WhatsApp channel, and Sporting was losing. And he actually did shout out this segment. He did shout out the Fully Loaded segment, which I thought was pretty funny. In a game where Sporting was losing their first game of the season, he shouts out SDH and Fully Loaded. I lost my mind. But no, it was very humbling that Nino did that. I want to find out what his layout is. I know that he has monitors and things. He's got like 4 different monitors in his setup. But I want to find out what the rest of his layout is so he can pay attention to his WhatsApp groups at the same time that he's trying to figure out what's going on the matches that he's calling. So we'll get into that at 10 o'clock this morning with our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV, and we will discuss that, and we will discuss whatever else is on his mind, because I give him a blank slate. It's like, all right, what are we talking about? What are we talking about in South America? What are we talking about in Europe? What are we talking about? What else is on your mind? Stuff that Gold TV is calling, you're calling, or just stuff that you observe on a daily basis. So Nino Torres dropping by at 10 o'clock. And then our buddy Niko Moreno. Seattle announced their roster decisions yesterday. Obviously, we're going to talk about MLS Cup semifinals, conference finals. We're going to talk about MLS Cup with Niko at 10:30. And for the last half hour, we'll go through everything Major League Soccer. But Seattle also had their roster decisions yesterday. And I know that there is one individual in particular that folks are looking at in this particular footprint attached to Office HD and attached to the southeastern United States, that there is one individual that is no longer a part of the discussions that might be a part of the discussions here in the Southeast. Happened last year with Niko Lodeiro. Niko Lodeiro ends up with the purple team and putting in quality minutes. But now the focus turns to Raul Ruidiaz. What does Raul Ruidiaz do next, considering that he is not in discussions with Seattle about a future? We raised the Palace intrigue, and we will continue that in the last half hour of the program. Would Raul Ruidiaz, in search for his next destination, decide that, I think I can deal with a TAM deal and be someone who can contribute and be a pain in the ass off the bench, get the occasional spot start, knowing the competitions. We got to talk about Leagues Cup and its new, or at least its 2025 iteration. We'll get into that. We will also get into the discussions involving the possibilities of who the new head coach is going to be in the Philadelphia Union. The Club World Cup draw is at 1 o'clock this afternoon, East Coast time. We'll go over once again the rules and regs of that and remind you who's in each pot and what they need to do to start cooking when it comes to the Club World Cup. Remember, yesterday we discussed that DAZN is going to be the streaming partner in the €1 billion deal that was agreed to with FIFA over the Club World Cup. And it's only for this tournament. All 63 matches live on DAZN, streamed. We got to figure out how to get DAZN in the first place and then figure out the rest of it from there. But DAZN announced yesterday that they were going to be the the streaming partner. I think technically for me, it's still a broadcast partner. The broadcast partner for the Club World Cup. The Club World Cup draws at 1 o'clock. So we'll have info on that tomorrow on the morning show. Also efforting our buddy Steve Livingston from our friends at Sporting Club Jacks, because yesterday they announced that 2 days ago, they announced that they're going to be playing in the USL Super League next year, and it's going to be at the University of North Florida at Hodges. So we'll see if we can track Steve down either live tomorrow, or we'll catch him on tape and catch up with him for a 1v1 that we'll post to the network on our various and sundry forums. So you wonder, and like I said, so those are the couple of things that are on my plate this morning. Abby, yeah, it is the same hoodie. I was cold, it was close, and I only wore it for the show yesterday, so I'm wearing it for the show again today. The boss is not in the house. The boss is in San Diego, and so I'm literally making sure that the house does not burn down, that the Big 55 figures out what its problem is, me and technology. That's going to be issue number one. And that, yes, to try and take somebody out for his morning business in current conditions, this was thick, it was close, and I needed to get out the door. Yes, I'm living like a bachelor when the boss is not in town. I know that shocks all of you. So there you go. Yes. Alex, is it in fact? Yes, I am. Yeah, Tebow FC. You are correct. It is Tebow FC. So we are chasing down our buddy Steve Livingston from Tebow FC, and we'll see if we can get him either live on the morning show tomorrow, or if it will end up having to be on tape. So we'll figure out what's up with that. We are going to catch up with our friends at Sporting Club Jacks and Tebow FC. Yeah, that's going to stick. That's a nickname that's going to stick. God bless. So we'll find out the latest about Sporting Club Jacks, and that'll be down the line. We had a big day yesterday in the Premier League. We'll go over all of the goals that happened there, all of the subplot, what's going on, all the gossip, rumor, and innuendo, everything that's going on the board. We'll get that squared away. So that's the rundown for the morning. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. Hour number 1 is all the news that's fit to print. We'll get you caught up on stuff. We'll go over Club World Cup again. We'll go over gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Remind you about what happened last night with me and Maddie before we get out of opening kickoff. And I would have cut goals from last night, but when someone has to go outside and do his business and I can't figure out what's wrong with the Big 55, priorities kind of take priority. So last night in the UPSL, it was the 2024 Fall Championship decider in the Georgia division between Kalanji Pro Profile and Dalton United. Match was supposed to start at 7, started at 7:30 because I know this will shock you that there was the equivalent of rush hour traffic trying to get all the way out to Shiloh High School in Gwinnett County. I know that coming from Dalton, it's kind of tough to sit there and, I wonder if there's going to be traffic. There's always traffic. So Dalton United got caught up in the traffic, and we started at 7:30. And if you want to go back, you can watch the match at this particular YouTube link from our friends Andre and Lawrence and our friends at ASMG. And you can catch up with what happened last night. Kalanji Pro Profile was only up 1-0 at the break. And it ended up being a 5-0 win. I think that a lot of things just kind of caught up with Dalton. It was the traffic. It was going first choice with what Coach Kiko was trying to do. They needed to win to get the division title. All Kalanji needed was a point. And so it was 1-0 at the break. And Dalton United was really frustrating Kalanji Pro Profile. KSA was trying to figure out. KSA had a decided height advantage and was familiar with the surface at Shiloh. First time that Dalton and KSA had played this year, so KSA was familiar with the surface at Shiloh Community. Dalton United took a little bit of time for them to get adjusted to it. 1-0 at the break. Dalton United was hanging in there. Both teams decided that they were going to go long down the respective right-hand sides and camp out underneath it and try to work in transition. So you had moments of back and forth last night, but it was 3 Anthony Sumo goals, and it really could have been 4. John Geertis from Dalton United saved a PK attempt that was fairly easily telegraphed last night from Sumo and KSA. So it could have been 4 for Sumo. Sumo needed 3 to win Golden Boot outright. He got a hat trick in 12 minutes, I believe. And you end up with a big win for Kalanji Pro Profile. Kareem Tamimi had a goal. Anthony Sumo had a hat trick, could have been 4. And then Blake Davis had the 5th goal on the board with 12 minutes to go. The infamous cross shot off a recycled corner. 5-0 your final. And so now it is time for KSA to advance in the playoffs. It's the playoffs this weekend. Top 8 teams go in. Maddie and Jason will have 2 matches. They're going to go to Dalton United and cover that match on Saturday, then come back to Shiloh on Sunday for the matchups against FC Birmingham and Fountain City. And so those will be on the ASMG, the Atlantic Sports Media Group, ASMG YouTube channel. So you can follow along in the UPSL Fall Playoffs and see what's going on there. So it is the opening round of the playoffs in division, and the sprint to the UPSL title begins anew. But Maddie and I had the call last night. It's always great to share a booth with Maddie and have Maddie call an Anthony Sumo hat trick 4 goals in 24 minutes, 3 and 12. Sumo ended up with the natural hat trick, by the way. And so it was a big win for KSA over Dalton United in the UPSL Georgia Division in UPSL Premier. You can catch the game here. You can catch the game there. And you can catch the post-game show. Post-game show was big. We had Coach Kalanji on. We had Kareem Tamimi on. We had Anthony Sumo on. We had all the goal scorers on, Blake Davis as well. All the goal scorers from KSA last night, and Coach Bruno. And Maddie caught up with all of them. So it was a big broadcast last night. Once again, shout out to our friends at ASMG. And that's your in the room scrubbing, just kind of having it on in the background, listening to a matchup from last night in the UPSL. So Morning Harry. And so that's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, that's your QR code. For those of you hanging out with us, however you are doing so, large device or small, on the YouTubes, on the Twitch, or on the 280-character app. SDH is, I think, officially now on Blue Sky as well as OSG Sports. So if you want your college football fix, you can go on Blue Sky and follow along there. I think I'm OSG Nelson on Blue Sky. So OSG Sports on Blue Sky, Soccer Down Here on Blue Sky. I think that's right. Catch all the information that you need right there. That's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us and watching. You can start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 at kickoff, and they in turn take 10% reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, other things that we have started once again here at SDH. Once again, our relationship with our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can get that gear, and when it gets delivered to the house, I'll be wearing it on air as a straight-up promotion for what's going on. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. You can get the T-shirt, you can get the sweatshirt, and you can help support middle school soccer programs and their growth in the Atlanta public school system by helping out with this collaboration that SDH has with our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. And once again, soccer is just better in Atlanta. You can get the red, you can get the black, you can get the hoodie, you can get the T-shirt, you can get it at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Also, don't forget, go to Olive and York and get the supporters kit. You can get the first ever supporters kit in SDH history. You can go get the supporters kit, and you can show your support for everything that we do here at SDH right there once it loads, and I can tell you what's going on. So there's your downloadable link, or there's your link. It's not downloadable, because if it was downloadable, that would be intriguing, where you could sit there and cut and paste on a video picture. But that's your link to go to Olive and York, and you can pick up the SDH, the supporters kit. First time that we've done this. Scott Flood and the Flood Project have done fantastic work. It is the black kit, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente as well. Kaiser is on the front. SDH is all over it. You can personalize it on the back if you want. So very, very cool stuff there, once again, from our friends at Olive and York, from the Scott Flood and the Flood Project, and our friends at Kaiser Permanente. You can get your SDH supporters kit, and it's a black jersey, and you can either have it in white letters and numerals or kind of a light blue letter and numeral setup. So once again, personalize it if you want. When I'm getting mine, I'm not going to personalize it. I'm not a big personalized guy. I'll get jerseys because I didn't play professionally. So I don't know if my name and number are worthy of being on the back of a soccer jersey or not. Or navy. Is it navy? I thought it was black. Well, I'm blind anyway. So enjoy the supporters jersey. Go to Olive and York, and you can help out all of the causes that we are going to be helping out in 2025 by the 4 to 5 week delivery period, I think is what Olive and York said. So personalize it, yay or nay, and then you can wear the first in probably a very long series of SDH supporters kits, and you can pick that up at Olive and York. So very, very busy. And you can also go to our website at soccerdownhere.net, and you can go into the SDH store and get all of our cool gear. Remember, Action at the Fraction belongs to us. So you can get your Action at the Fraction gear. You can get all your SDH gear. And it's the old logo. And yes, I know we need to work on the new logo and getting the new logo stuff on the store. And also the new scarf. The scarf probably is going to be something here that's going to be turned early 2025 with the new branding and everything. So supporters kit at Olive in York, Grady Baby, and Grady Baby Co. to help out middle school programs and soccer programs involved with Atlanta Public Schools. And you can also, once again, get the gear at soccerdownhere.net. So multiple places, multiple locations, and all the fun where you can stack your wardrobe with everything SDH officially. So that's your rundown of all of the gear that you can pick up here at SDH. Once again, it's going to be Nino joining us top of the hour, Niko Moreno. Just Nino and Niko. I always get this confused. It is Nino Torres from Gold TV. He's joining us at 10, going fully loaded. Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports on the Soccer Bar joining us in an hour. Last half hour of the show, we'll go over everything Major League Soccer and get you ready for MLS Cup, plus all of the roster moves that have happened to date, and see if there are any other roster moves in Major League Soccer that have surprised Niko, or has it pretty much been chalk? But I do want to get into the discussion about his hometown club after we find out what he thought about the semifinals and what he thinks about the MLS Cup and Ricky Puig and all of that stuff. I want to find out what he thinks about the roster moves in Seattle. And perhaps if you're getting the band back together, once again, no real information on probably one of the ideas that we have leaned into the most when it comes to a technical director, director of soccer, soccer ops, CSO, whatever you want to call it, and then assembling the talent. Once again, I have no information. We are running through a bunch of assumptions and adding A and B and coming up with 12. But is Garth Lagerwey going to get the band back together, and would it include Raul Ruidiaz? We'll keep an eye on that as we go. Ruidiaz did not accept a tender offer in Seattle. They are not negotiating a deal. Seattle has thanked him for his service, gave him a pocket watch, and sent him on his way. Gave him a pocket watch, kicked him in the butt, and a computer took his place. I don't know if it's quite hard times for Raul Ruidiaz, but we'll see. All right, yesterday. Actually, let me say hi to everybody. Morning, Alex. Alex is like the transition between degenerate and good morning, Alex needs a little work. We'll see. Morning, Abby. Morning, David. Morning, OG. And let's see. So apparently Abby was up bright and early this morning, taking baby boy and numerous friends to the aeropuerto, hitting Chick-fil-A when they open at 6. At least the biscuits are hot, or at least they have to be made, and you might have to sit in line a little bit. And yeah, so that's so Abby says, yeah, the drive-through ordered ahead and picked up inside. Nicely done. See, that's what I do. I legitimately, that's what I do. Morning, Harry, by the way. Abby says, going to do the pre-order line, merges with the drive-through, usually moves fast at her local CFA. Decided to go in since no one was inside except the workers. Alex, I think I do follow you personally on Blue Sky. I think I do, actually. But I'll double-check it and see. And if only $5 to personalize it, Alex thinks that it's a Navy shirt. Customized jerseys, according to OG, are for nicknames. Imagine something less serious. Never be mistaken for a pro player. Morning, Tom. Tom is like, announce Chris Henderson already. Dre Footy Bomar. I think this is the first time that that Dre Footy is here. So welcome. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for dropping by. It is the madness of an East Coast U.S. morning show here on the YouTubes. So do not be a stranger and jump into the conversation and be a part of the SDH family. Good to see you, Dre. Let's see. OG, would Raul Ruidiaz have a similar situation to Joseph, no longer a DP, sub-striker? That is a question that we will ask Niko, but that I think is the tack that should be taken. Let's put it this way. I would think that much like what you saw from Nico Lodeiro with the purple team, the question is to Raul Ruidiaz, would you knock on his door and go, okay, here's the deal. Here's what we are envisioning for you, Raul Ruidiaz. And then you sit there and you're knocking on the door and you're waiting for an answer from him on that kind of a question. That to me is the larger point here. Is would he, once you do this,
Penny,
Sheldon,
would Raul Ruidiaz accept that kind of a role, or does he think that he still has more to give as a starter, starting 25 or 28 matches, playing in multiple competitions and all that kind of stuff? That is the question. That is the $1 million question. And only Raul Ruidiaz and his representation can answer that. Right now, you're looking for somebody who can log a lot of minutes, score a lot of goals. What's the wear and tear on Raul Ruidiaz? Would he accept a role like Niko Ladero? Would he accept a paycheck like what we saw with Niko Ladero this year? So let's go to MLS Players and check the salary guide and the salary number for Niko Ladero. So Niko Ladero last year, $800,000. $800,000 last year with the purple team, and everything seemed to be cool, you know? But would Raul Ruidiaz take that kind of a deal? Would it be a high TAM deal where we need you to put the pedal down when we call on you? We don't need you to do that every single time out, We don't need you to do that every single match. We just need you to turn it on and then drop the hammer when we call on you. Checking the stats from this past year to see what they were with the Orlando City. So last season with the purple team, here's what Niko Ladero did. 34 matches, started half. Just under 1,700 minutes. 1 goal, 11 assists. 36 shots, 10 of them on target, so about a third, 30%. Passed at 87.5% efficiency. Suffered 29 fouls and committed 17. So in 34 matches, he averaged getting fouled about once a match. Started half of the matches, 1 goal, but 11 assists. Would Raul Ruidiaz want to do the same thing a year later for his next location, for his next place of employ? So last season in Seattle, 24 matches played, 14 starts. So it was, he was in that run of starting half of what he did on the sheet. 1,355 minutes, 8 goals, 2 assists. 30 shots on target of 76 total scoring attempts on the year. And fouls suffered, the FS. I always keep trying to figure out what the S is. Fouls caused is what I always revert to. So 16 out of 24 is what? 4 over 6, 2/3. So 2/3 of the matches he suffered a foul. He was fouled basically. And in about half of the games he committed a foul. 3 yellows in 24 matches. But so here's the last couple of years. And like I said, we'll get into this more in depth and get his thoughts at 10:30 of the last half hour of the show with Niko Moreno. 8 goals, 2 assists last year, 24 matches, 14 starts. This is for whomever would be interested in kicking the tires on Raul Ruidiaz. Year previous, played in half the matches, played in 18, started in 11, 5 goals, 1 assist. 22, 18 matches, 14 starts, 1,300 minutes, 9 goals, 2 assists. Back in 21 was the last season that he had double-digit goals. 26 games played, 24 starts. 17 goals, 1 assist. And then you go backward. It was 12 before that, 11 before that, 10 before that, 18, 19, and 20. So we're going to bookmark Raul Ruidiaz's stat numbers and figure out what the desire might be for anyone. And would Raul Ruidiaz take the role of, I need you to come in spot start, I need you to come in off the bench, I need you to be a microwave, I need you to be Vinny Johnson, I need you ready the second I call on you. May not be every time out, but I'm going to need you for multiple competitions. I need to budget your minutes. I need to budget you so you can be as healthy as much as humanly possible. So last year, by the way, Raul Ruidiaz, if I can scroll down far enough, last season made $2 million base, guaranteed compensation just over $2.7 million. But would Raul Ruidiaz, wherever he goes, does he still view himself as a DP? And this is where we may spend most of our time with Niko coming up the last half hour of the show, walking through where Raul Ruidiaz could be used effectively, franchise-wise. 2 million base, 2.7 full. Niko Ladero, 800,000 flat. Would Raul Ruidiaz accept the Niko Ladero salary structure? Or does he still think that he's still that 2 million, 2.7 million guy? We'll ask Niko Moreno last half hour of the show. So that's those are the burning questions involving the roster decisions in Seattle yesterday. And once again, teams are kind of drifting in, they're making their moves, and they're trying to figure all these kinds of things. So that's the biggest thing in the last half hour of the show. All right, Alex says if you're looking for 8 to 12 goals, is Raul Ruidiaz a better option than bringing Joseph back? Not that I'm advocating for either, just curious. I think that I don't, that is going to be a question for any front office here, specifically in Atlanta, if you're trying to compare individuals, but for any front office, since Joseph is now looking for a new home again, then if Montreal didn't want to bring him back, considering what they got from Joseph offensively, and once again, remember the headaches that were there that were announced with him and Laurent Courtois during the season. Maybe it's not the coach. Raul Ruidiaz, is it the same thing? And so that's the larger issue here. Then Tom says, or do we do what Miami did, just bring in a bunch of guys and get Delta and UPS and Home Depot and every other Atlanta company to cut them some promo deals, Hey, worked with Messi and friends. And I know that this will shock you, but every publication that wants to do any kind of a story involving that particular club, especially after Javier Mascherano has had his official introductory press conference. And these days, we all know that it has a lot to do with clicks and trying to get folks to sit there and go, ooh, shiny object. James is being mentioned. Neymar is being mentioned. Angel Di Maria is being mentioned. Everybody short of blanking Zinedine Zidane and Valderrama are being mentioned to come in to be the next shiny objects for Messi and friends come the 25 season. Once again, remember, Club World Cup draw, 1 o'clock Eastern time in Miami. And so we'll keep an eye there. Yeah, we'll see Luka Modric. Well, Kevin De Bruyne, by the way. So since Tom is mentioning Luka Modric and Kevin De Bruyne has been linked to San Diego. He's also been linked to Saudi Arabia. De Bruyne seems to be happy where he is right now currently, and he's a guy that negotiates his own deals. He doesn't do it through an agent. He sits at the table with the club, and he's like, all right, what are we doing? De Bruyne is the guy that sits at the table himself. KDB negotiates for KDB. And so when you hear a report about Kevin De Bruyne not being interested about going to a certain place, sources say close to Kevin De Bruyne, odds are, considering Kevin De Bruyne is the one that negotiates his own deals, that it's probably De Bruyne or a family member. But KDB has been linked to San Diego to be one of their first big splashes. Biggest thing about KDB is staying healthy. You know the kind of impact that Kevin De Bruyne has when he is healthy. Even as he's getting on in years at Manchester City. When he is on, he is ridiculous. Ridiculous. KDB looks out for KDB. He negotiates his own deals and puts up his own billboards, does his own social media, what have you. That's KDB. Luka Modric, I think, will probably play until he's like 45 or something. But he is in a league and he is in a club and he has been put in a position where he continues to flourish. He's used wisely. Modric knows the limits of his own body. And at the age of 702 is still productive in that system at Real Madrid. If I'm Luka Modric, I don't know if I want to leave and be put in a position that is unfamiliar surroundings. I legitimately think that Modric, if he goes anywhere, it would be Messi and friends, and it would be like a one-time deal, maybe for a year. But I don't know if that's going to happen, considering that Modric seems to be locked in place right now at Real Madrid, and he seems to be pretty happy. But to Tom's point, and it is a larger question here going forward, considering what we've seen with NIL and Messi and friends, how many other teams go down this road? Once again, we could talk to Niko about that. We may even talk to Niko about this next week. We'll put this topic, we'll put a bookmark in this topic, come back, because next week is the window of all of the transactions in Major League Soccer, the half trade day, re-entry, expansion, all those kinds of things. That wave starts, considering that we're 6 weeks away from training camp. So all of that 2025 stuff starts next week after MLS Cup. So when you think the season's over, it's really not, because everything's starting to get negotiated for 2025 starting next year. Trades, movements, re-entry drafts, waiver drafts, all that kind of stuff. We got to keep an eye on that next week, 6 weeks out from training camp. So it'll be back here before you know it, but it does make you wonder. And Tom, if I forget to mention this next week when Niko comes back in, remind me, how many other teams can leverage relationships? Bart is in on Monday, so bookmark the Everton call for Monday. Bart is Mondays unless there's like breaking news with the women's national team. So, Tom, you officially have to bookmark 2 things for next week. How many other teams in Major League Soccer want to go down this regenerated 1.0 move, a 1.0 mode with a side dish of NIL? How many other clubs can do that? How many other clubs are confident enough, instead of having to shell out salary and massive salaries for DPs, that they instead can go a little higher in their DP salaries, bring in NIL money, and not have it be as concerning as it is in normal circumstances? So, Tom, reffing down here, bring back the Everton call on Monday. Tom, NIL and franchises, we'll talk about that with Niko next week, so a week from today. Shoot, I'll write it down. What the hell? All right, so next Monday, so this way I don't forget. Next Monday, reffing down here, Everton offside call. And so since today's the 5th, 12-12, NIL and Major League Soccer. There, it's written down. I wrote it down twice. All right, so wrote both of them down. You can remind me if I throw away my legal pad, because it's out of pages between now and Monday and a week from today. So there you go. How many teams can go down this road and be confident about it, checking in with local sponsors and going, hey, we want to bring in talent. Can we do NIL deals and not have to pay them as much salary, to where it doesn't have to go up against the salary cap, which we have maintained needs to be expanded, A. And we now know the new rules of what's going on with the DP versus U22 initiatives and the roads that you take and things like that. So that's stuff to look into next week as we go forward here. Speaking of things that get folks angry, it looks like Leagues Cup for next year might have been figured out. Lizzie Bescherano over at the Four Letter. Leagues Cup is set to return next season. Liga MX and MLS participating, according to sources that talk to the Four Letter. Rumors of a potential pause began to emerge when Ernst Tanner said the team is out of Leagues Cup during a recent Zoom call with media. Many also questioned the possibility of a summer tournament, given that Leagues Cup coincides with Gold Cup and the Club World Cup. Leagues Cup is its dates, Gold Cup June 14 through July 6. The FIFA Club World Cup is simultaneous. So you have the Gold Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup going on at the same time, and then Leagues Cup. June 15 through July 13, Gold Cup June 14 through July 6. So you better pray to God you don't get a double whammy. Sources confirmed to Bescherano Leagues Cup is expected to be played in the summer months, just like the two previous editions. Competition likely to undergo changes for future iterations. In addition to the trophy, final two teams in the winner of the third place match earn places in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, as well as prize money. So it is likely to continue. There's probably going to be something akin to a scheduling tweak. What that scheduling tweak is, we don't know. But the larger points that need to be made in these kinds of tournaments is you need to have roster flexibility. Roster flexibility, roster flexibility, roster flexibility. Please, 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 please. It's got to happen. Make it easy for clubs to bring up folks from the second team and not have it expand your rosters is probably the easiest way to put it. If you're going to have Club World Cup, Gold Cup, and Leagues Cup all going on at the same time, you have this harmonic convergence and colliding of events. Expand your rosters, make the guideposts for Leagues Cup a little wider, add another couple of lanes on the freeway so you can navigate three competitions, either going on simultaneously or two of the three going on simultaneously and a third hovering around you in short order. And we talked about getting Don Garber the extension yesterday, Tom, and we also fixed the broadcast product. So go back and listen to that in the first hour from yesterday. So that's what you're looking at, with the possibility of multiple tournaments going on at the same time. Multiple tournaments going on at the same time, possibly. Two going on simultaneously, Gold Cup, Club World Cup, and then Leagues Cup being shoehorned in there somewhere. But the biggest change probably needs to be the expansion of rosters and the flexibility of player allotment to the tournament, to where you're not stuck with the call-up parameters. It's like, well, you can only call up folks a certain way, and you can only have them only be there, and they can only play a certain number of minutes. Relax your roster guideposts, especially if you're going to have all these things going on at the same time. Make it a little better than, say, the NBA with the 10-day call-ups. If you call somebody up, let them play. Let them be on the roster. Don't say that they can be pinned in. You can only play two matches in a, if you can only be called up 4 times and only play X number of times. No. You've got to release your roster confinement, especially for Leagues Cup with everything else going on around you. Just let your roster breathe a little bit for Leagues Cup. You can bring up second team players. You can bring up academy players as long as it doesn't affect. You can bring up second team players and make sure that for the second team they can bring up academy players and it doesn't affect their eligibility. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. So release your roster specs. Just let it breathe a little bit, knowing what's going to be going on in the summer of 2025. Just let it breathe. Let it be a chance to showcase talent that hasn't had the chance to be showcased on a first-team basis, because they're either second team or academy or whatever. And then you've got Open Cup to figure out too. This is slowly turning into England with Gummy Bear Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League. And I don't mean that in a direct comparison. I mean that in just you have multiple competitions happening all at the same time. But you need to relax your rules. Let the young kids go, and teams are going to be making prioritizations as to which tournaments they're going to want to be in. You're going to have some folks treat Leagues Cup as a 2 and done, or they're going to treat Open Cup as a 1 and done. The example that we always seem to give is when LAFC really didn't want to be in Open Cup anymore. And they go to Monterey Bay, and half the starting 11 was LAFC, the town, or whatever they call themselves now. I think they're still LAFC 2. When LAFC 2, or Ventura County, when LAFC 2 went to Monterey Bay and tried to start half a roster of youngins and deep roster players, and they still won. They didn't want to be there, and they couldn't find a way to beat Monterey Bay outright or have Monterey Bay beat them, and so it ends up going the extra 30. Then it ends up going, I think, into shootout, if I remember correctly, before LAFC 2 won again. So release your roster rules. Let the young kids play. Let the second teamers play. Or you're going to have some clubs, some big name clubs, that are going to be in all of these competitions, MLS regular season, Leagues Cup, Open Cup. They're going to make a decision that New York may not like. You want your big guns, you want your big names in all of these tournaments, you've got to relax your roster rules. Release and relax your rules of engagement. That, to me, is going to be one of the things that I look at when Leagues Cup is announced and Open Cup is figured out, how things go and where they go. Are you stuck with your 30-man? Do you get to bring up academy kids? Do you get to bring up second teamers? Do academy kids get to go to the second team and play? And you have it filled that way. Academy goes and plays second team. Second teamers fill up your roster spot, your widened roster when it comes to Leagues Cup, Open Cup, without any kind of penalty or repercussion. You gotta relax the rules in this. You want to showcase your big clubs, you've got to find a way for the big clubs to participate and not want to turn it into a one and done. If we're talking Open Cup or group stage and done for Leagues Cup, you've got to do that. Morning four card. And yeah, play the kids. Give them a chance to shine. That's kind of what it's all about. Release your roster rules. Just widen your rules of engagement. You want everybody to play. You want all your big guns in there. You want your TV. Once again, it goes back to the TV product. When it comes to your network deal with Apple TV, your programming shrinking. You want the season finale of Shrinking from season 1, where the abusive boyfriend is pushed off the cliff. You want that moment. And you can't do that if you don't have the big guns who are sitting there ready to play and juggling all their roster availabilities and player availabilities and things like that. I couldn't think of a series that I don't watch on Apple TV to give as a counteraction. But you're programming a television show. Leagues Cup is a television show to Apple TV. Program it to where you have the girlfriend push off the abusive boyfriend in the season finale of Shrinking in season 1. How do you do that? Make it as appealing as possible. That's the easy part. Now do they follow through? We'll see. Steph Yang had an interesting article. This might be required reading, where, as we're getting toward the end of the season, Headline: MLS refs claim in-game interference means they are no longer in control. We'll get together with Bart on this on Monday, but I kind of wanted to let this be required reading about the voices in their ears and it kind of taking over, which is something that we have maintained doesn't need to go down, but apparently it does, and we heard it involving Atlanta United and LAFC this year, where the center ref thought one thing and was talked into it by VAR. Center ref was confident in his call, and then VAR decides that they want to relitigate the play on the field, and this is the Buanga red card. This is the Brad Gazan incident, where center ref was confident that the ball was not going to be after it was made contact with, to end a sentence in a preposition, outside the 18, that it was not going to be heading toward net in any manner, way, shape, or form. Relitigated by VAR, and we had the audio for it, and we played that for you. But apparently now, with VAR and the Steph Yang piece, she breaks down what's going on. According to multiple sources familiar with pro policy and refereeing at the top level of men's and women's soccer, interference from pro has become a habitual problem in MLS and NWSL matches. While the presence of a pro manager listening in at a game would be normal as part of their analysis and oversight, actual participation in the in-game decision-making process extends beyond their remit. During the Crew Red Bulls incident, the first part of VAR check played out fairly normally on the field. A pause of about a minute. Another minute and a half to get a Red Bulls player hurt in the collision off the field, prepare for a drop ball. As the hurt player prepared to re-enter the field, suddenly there was confusion unknown to the players, but concurrent with the call for delay. Player protested not being allowed to come back on. Crew goalkeeper rolls his eyes. Center ref went to VAR, seemingly after it had been already decided the check was complete and play was to continue. Ultimately, center ref and VAR came again to the same conclusion, with the center announcing on the field no foul on the play. Athletic spoke to several referees, all of whom have at least several years of experience in Major League Soccer, who claim the incidents like the one in Crew Red Bulls were a part of a pattern of interference. Two referees, referee A and B, requested anonymity due to fear of professional reprisal. Rather than a mere squabble between rival bureaucratic bodies, the referees are adamant there are bigger issues at stake. The need for the viewing public to have faith in their officiating performance and that the VAR process conducted with transparency. Ref A, quote, interference has been supervisors coming into the pods at half times of games. And also we have a communication headset where they're also able to listen and talk, and they've come on during the course of the game to help point us in a different direction. There's a concern, according to referee B, that the protocols in place are not being upheld as they have been previously enforced. There have been suggestions which fall outside of the strict protocol that we've been asked to carry. When asked by The Athletic for comment on whether pro supervisors had interfered with VAR, pro spokesperson by email, 2,649 checks, 6 checks, 2 1,000ths of 1%. Prompted comment from the supervisor to a video match official. Pro conducted an internal review. When this was brought to our attention, improvements were immediately made to Pro's processes as a result. Integrity of our competition is essential, and as a client of the Pro, we demand the same of match officiating, an MLS spokesperson said via email. We are confident that Pro has taken appropriate steps to ensure no similar recurrence. PSRA has documented at least 5 instances of interference, laid out in letters sent to Pro on October 25 and November 15, also circulated among its own membership. Letters provided by The Athletic by an MLS referee, as well as 2 others relating specifically to correspondence regarding Crew Red Bulls. Pro admitted a match supervisor had intervened and unfairly influenced the game officials in a way that was outside the scope of their position. Mark Geiger apologized for the interference, expressed his confidence in referee decisions. PSRA responded, despite the apology, Membership were still concerned about interference, requested that supervisor microphones be made inactive for the rest of the 24 season, except in the event of a technology failure or an emergency. Also highlighted 3 inappropriate interventions during NWSL matches in April and May. MLS referees interviewed say that interference has created resentment and confusion for referees who now don't know whether to expect interference or what form it might take. Ref B to Steph Yang. Long pauses create anxiety. You fill the stadium with 30,000 people. They're asked to wait, and they're bated breath with an expectation that his decision will go a certain way. And then we're held up for a reason. Then we go to review. Then we're held up even longer. Now we have confusion because there's conflict. And then Ref A, I think when guys on the field don't know if it's the guys in the booth making the decision, you already don't want to be wrong when you're on the field, but now you're wondering, am I wrong because my peers think I'm wrong, or am I wrong because my peers are being told something and then they're relaying that information to me? Ref A said they wanted fans to understand that more is going on behind the scenes than just the immediate decision on the field, whether they agree with the decision or not, care about the game as deeply as fans do. So we'll talk to Bart about that on Monday. It is that time. It is that time. It is that time. It is that time where we go and catch up with our buddy Nino Torres, and we get fully loaded because I have questions about layout and things like that. So let's find out what is on the man's mind. We bring him in, and we go, yellow, yellow, yellow.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer down here. John Nelson, everyone out there in the States. Hope you see you were in a hoodie today. It's getting chilly up there, huh?
Yes,
sir. Here, bro. Here we're in the southern hemisphere, so that means it's summertime for us, brother. Summertime for us, and because it's summertime. Summertime is coming already. Officially starts in the December 21st, right? Uh-huh. So if you've been following, right? You've been following my fitness journey throughout the year. I've been doing challenges across the year. I did 50 burpees for 50 days, and then I came up with 500 abs for 50 days. And now there's no 50 days remaining on the year, so I only did 25 to start today. I started today. It's crazy. I've got it here. You see it now? John, you see it?
Yeah, you see it? Right there, baby.
That's 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. For 25 days, we started today, so we're getting ready for the summer, brother.
Well, for me, I do that before I go to bed at night because I sleep like a pretzel, and I mean, I'm like Twister gone to hell. When I sleep, I'm all over the place, so if I don't stretch before I go to bed, I'm in trouble when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, no.
I mean, I literally, for me, it's almost like yoga for 45 minutes before I go to bed every day. It gets all of the kinks out of your system. It kind of calms the body. It gets the muscles back to where it was. It's stretches, it's crunches, it's slow details, it's push-ups, it's sit-ups, all those kinds of things blended into about a 45-minute workout before I go to bed. So my ass is tired when I get to bed, brother.
And then you go to bed like you fall asleep like in 5 minutes.
Uh-huh. Nice. That is the layout for me anyway. It was funny, and I mentioned this in opening kickoff in hour number 1.
Right.
When I drift past Gold TV, and why I always ask you what matches you're calling, so that way I know when to dial in. I can listen to my friend, and I can find out what's going on as he's having conversations with the players, with the officials. Get the call right. Sit down. No, that's not a penalty. That's not how this works. That doesn't work that way. No, sit down. That doesn't happen. This fantastic conversation that you're having the entire time. And the match that I tuned into with you was the downfall of Sporting CP as we know it in Portugal. The beginning, Santa Maria comes in, and it's like, what happened here? At a plus, I think a plus 1370 on the board, knocking Sporting off of the perch. And I was explaining how I'm listening to you, and I dive into our WhatsApp just to have a bit of a talk. It's like, yeah, man, I'm listening and everything. And then you bust out the full promo for this segment during the match while Sporting is being taken to school, and I'm laughing hysterically. How much conversation do you have with folks on social media during a call in general?
A lot, man. It's a lot. I don't know. I just started doing that this year. I wasn't doing it last year, but then this year I got on TikTok, and then people, always on Twitter, people message me, right? Hey, this and that, right? And I respond to them. And once I get in TikTok live here, I got my phone here, so it's quicker, right? The people, yeah, because in Twitter, I mean, I can tweet when I'm working, right? I can just say the things on there. But on TikTok, I just said it right there, and the people just get back to me, and I like it because I'm not feeling alone anymore, man. It's crazy.
So, how many monitors do you have when you're calling a match?
2. We got 2.
Okay. And so then you've got the computer. You got 2 monitors. You've got your computer with all of your conversations and your TikTok and your social media. So how many? So on your phone. So you've got your phone going, you've got 2 monitors going, and you're calling all at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get this layout right. So when folks dive in and they listen to you and they watch you on Gold TV, they know what they're staring at. With you calling a match, having a conversation with everybody who's playing in front of you, having a conversation on social media with everybody that's interacting with you, this stream of consciousness, 3-dimensional thing that you're doing. I just wanted to give everybody, I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and see what the Wizards do.
It's pretty good, man. I like it. I like it a lot. I have a lot of fun. And I love living in this era, because 25 years ago, it was just the commentators were like in a different planet, right? You cannot touch them. But now we work all close, we're all together, and then this is the beauty of the era that we're living in, man.
All right. So since I mentioned Sporting, I want to start here with Sporting. The downfall has started. It's the end of the world in Portugal. Sporting has lost. They are mortal, and it's all over, right?
Yeah. That's how they feel on the Sportingistas, brother. I got the show on Tuesday when I do the podcast for the Liga Portugal. And the Sportingistas were, they were about to start a riot, man. They were calling people, hey, let's go to Varanda's office. We need to talk to the president because this is unacceptable. This guy, he's not prepared. Why are we doing this? Why did we pick this guy? Joe Pereira is not ready for the job. What has he done? What are his credentials to replace Amorim? Well, he was, coaching the academy. He was coaching the academy, under 17, under 19, under 20. Second, the reserve, making his way up. And then they say, all right, you're ready. So come on up to the top flight division. But I don't know, did I tell you this about the feeling that I was having when I saw the Arsenal game, that he was shaking, right? It got the same exact feeling out of the Santa Clara game. He's nervous, man, and he is making calls. He's pushing the panic button like every single time that they get scored. If you score on Sporting, boom, he makes moves right away. No, brother, you got the best team in the country. You got the best team in the kingdom. All right, just relax. Just let your players do your thing. It is impossible. You cannot forget how to play about soccer. How to play soccer in 14 days. Matter of fact, I'm talking about the 14 days. On Tuesday night, I told my Sportingistas, I got the perfect title for the show tonight, right? It's how to lose a title in 14 days. Cast by your Pereira. You only need Kate Hudson to come in.
I knew where you were going, brother. I'm like, yeah.
And they were laughing. They're laughing, but it is crazy because it is. You know what? It is possible. Because now they got this wild December. Starting tomorrow, they go to Moreirense, to Moreira de Cónegos, and this is a team that's undefeated at home so far this season. And this is a team that they haven't beaten. Moreirense haven't beat the Sporting in years.
Oh,
Actually,
that's today at 3:15, isn't it?
yeah, it's today. I got that game later on today.
Yeah.
And the last time that Moreirense beat Sporting was in 2003. 2003. Okay. So there's no reason for Sporting not to win this game, even though the odds. If you check on the odds, check the draws and it's not that high the number for a draw. I think it's like
plus 430.
Plus 430.
Plus 430.
No, it's not plus 15. No. It's plus 430, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been checking all the websites, right? Because I with my prep time in almost 4 or 5 different websites are calling for a draw today. Not me.
Whoa.
I think Sporting is going to win.
Okay. -3.
I think Sporting is going to win, and Victor Jokerson scored twice, and everybody's going to get relaxed and put their Xanaxes away. All right. And relax. But it is crazy how I thought in Peru we were crazy. I thought in Argentina we were crazy. But these Portuguese guys, man, they are something else. They are something else. They in last season with Benfica, they finished second or third. I think they finished second. It was a catastrophe. It was a catastrophe for Benfica to finish second. Oh, how dare you! And they won the championship the last year, the year before, right? So you won in 2022, second 2023. No. Flares at the stadium. They were, and they finally got it. They got to fire their coach in the second round of this season, John. The second round of this season. Rui Costa was like, all right, I know everybody's at the gates. Please chill. Let me bring our guy here, Bruno Lage. Bring all the confidence back to Sporting. And they replaced him. They did replace him because of the fans' pressure on Benfica. But yeah, Sporting Club it is my God.
Yep. You lose one, and here comes the panic. It's like watching Alabama football. Sporting is now a 3-point lead on Porto, 33 points to 30 after 12 matches played. Benfica right now is third, but they've got a match in hand at 28 points. They've won their last 5 in a row. Santa Clara is 8-4, no draws, and they're at 24 points, and then everything else is downhill from there. But yeah, today at 3:15, Sporting Moreirense. Moreirense has changed even while we've been talking. It is now down to a plus 888 in the composite for Moreirense. Draws a plus
win, but
plus 438 on the draw. Sporting is a minus 333. And it's a kind of a goofy schedule. You've got the one game today. You've got Friday night football tomorrow with Braga and Estoril. Then you've got 4 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and Monday night football.
Yeah. This is Portugal, brother. This is Portugal. We got games almost every day. I got today, I got tomorrow, I got Saturday, and I got Sunday and Monday off. So.
All right, so then you're calling Sporting today. You're calling Braga and Estoril tomorrow. Who do you have on Saturday?
I have Benfica.
Benfica at home to Vitória Guimarães, and you got Sunday, Monday off?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday off. Because, yeah, December's always kind of chill.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of chill because, tournaments are over. And, and tomorrow I don't have the Portugal tomorrow. I have the Copa Uruguay, the final of the Copa Uruguay, Nacional versus Defensor. That's the game that I have tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting game, man.
Okay, so then break that down for me since you talked about it. Break it down.
So today, Moreirense versus Sporting Club. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. The Nacional versus Defensor. And on Saturday, 3:30. Is it 3:30? Let me see. Benfica game on Saturday. No, it's at 1 p.m. It's 1 p.m. versus Vitória Guimarães. That's a tough game for Benfica. It's a tough game, man.
So it's going to be fun. Goal TV, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get Fanatis. You can catch up with our man And you catch up with our man Nino Torres and find out what's going on because he's calling everything everywhere, and you need to watch. That's just the bottom line because Stone
Hey,
Cold
John,
said-
one last thing about sporting.
Yeah.
I run a poll on X, but because they dropped two names to replace Joe Pereira.
Okay.
Abel Ferreira, head coach for Palmeiras, Copa Libertadores winner with Palmeiras, Portuguese in the conversations. And then Danny Sousa. Danny Sousa is not having a job right now. Danny Sousa was brought to Braga, but they fired him in the very second round. No, in the first round. In the first round because they wanted to bring Carlos Carvajal back.
Yeah. Okay.
And he took over the very next day at 8:30 in the morning. He was already there in the
It's like, damn.
you're out on Monday morning. You got a replacement ready, brother.
What happened to my key card, man? It's Monday morning. What the hell?
I can't get in. You know, yeah. They did that to Danny Sosa, which is such a smart coach. I think that was a mistake from Braga, but you know, I mean, presidents, front offices, sometimes they go wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not in a good way, of course.
No, when panic happens, then you have a tendency to overreact, and then you overcorrect your overcorrection, and it creates a whole bunch of chaos. Topic number 2. That was not me in the email, by the way. Peñarol campeón, no additional Clásico needed. Engage.
Brother, last round of the season, Torneo Clausura, the Nacional already lost their chances because they got a draw in the previous round, round 14. So in round 15, they were all the two Giants were playing at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. But Nacional had to win and wait for Peñarol not to win at El Campeón del Siglo at home against an already relegated team. So their odds were like not good, right? Yeah, maybe Peñarol. No. Peñarol, guess what? Peñarol scored in the first 20 seconds of the game. 20 seconds in, boom, Peñarol 1-0. And I got the divided screen, right? Watching the score for Nacional. And Nacional, nail. Hey, wait, hold on a second. Boston River scored against Nacional. So they were down 1-0, and Peñarol was winning. And then Peñarol took off. They put 1, 2, 3, 4 goals on Phoenix, and the case was closed. Case closed. And Nacional even had to wait because if there's no drama in Uruguayan championship, there's no Uruguayan football. They came from behind to beat Boston in the last 5 minutes of the game, brother. Minute 86 and minute 87, Nacional makes a comeback, but it was too late. It was too late. So no Clásicos needed. That's I'm sad for that because there's less games for me because we could have 4 more Clásicos, but no, Peñarol took care of business in outstanding fashion to win their 54th title in Uruguay. 54 trophies for Peñarol, 11 Torneo Clausuras for El Manja, and having the best player by a long mile. That's Leo Fernandez. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, brother. I am pretty sure that the MLS they're having an eyes on this guy because he is sensational, man. Sensational. Leo Fernandez set the record for most set pieces in the most set pieces goals. He got 8. Yeah, 8 set piece goals. All of them majestic. All of the he scored 1 in the last game, of course, from a set piece, of course. To score the number 8, wearing his number 8 jersey for Peñarol. It's like a movie, brother. It's like a movie. That's great for Peñarol. Everything checks out. You know, you got the legend, the coach returning, and to win the championship. And you know what Diego Aguirre said in the celebration? The first, they given the mic for like 2 seconds, right? Hey, thank you to the fans, la la la. We're going for the 6th one. Talking about the 6th Copa Libertadores, of course, right? We're going for the 6th one, and then he started the chant, and all the people following him along on the stadium, and it was sensational, man. And you know what's crazy? In one goal, there's a call of one of my calls of Leo Fernandez, and I translated I translated a Peñarol chant in English, and I sang it on the call. And oh, brother, Peñarol fans, they were, Nino, come over here, come to Montevideo.
Okay, well, you know that you're going to have to post that to social now. You're going to have to find it.
Brother, it was almost that. It was a couple of weeks ago, I think, 3. It blew up the internet, man. Like I don't know how many, like 250K.
Resubmit it so we can all listen to it if we missed it.
All right. We'll do.
All right. So you got. I want to take your San Lorenzo part and I want to cut it in half.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so for those that don't know, the topic 3, why the crisis in San Lorenzo could benefit Universitario in Peru. First off, describe for those that don't know what the hell is going on at San Lorenzo so they can understand the rest of it first.
It is crazy, right? I don't get it in Argentina. You got the second best league in the continent, right? Second best league in quality in the continent, and yet you got they got the first place in crooks when it comes to they're leading the way in that category, because it is impossible that if you have a stadium, right? You got a stadium, 50,000 people shows up every week, right? You got ticket sales, right? Every week. You got TV rights, you got sponsors, you got everything that you need to run your club properly, right? Because you got revenue coming from different sources. But hell, wait a second. Where's the money? I'm sorry, I don't got money to pay you. Okay, next month we'll talk. Next month comes up. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay you this month either. 4 months, the roster of San Lorenzo was not getting paid. 4 months. And it's not the first time. It happened with San Lorenzo before. There's the 2 teams in Argentina, they always have this crisis, this money crisis. It's one is San Lorenzo, the other one is Independiente del Valle. Independiente de Avellaneda, Independiente del Rojo, right? I don't know, brother. I really, how selfish can you be? I mean, if you get into a position, you know, you're the president of your club to do the things right, to get to the things for your players, for your people. Just all right. Why take your money for yourself, brother? If you need money, just go somewhere else and do something else. But don't steal from the people. Don't steal from the fans, man. I mean, come on, it is crazy. Right, that's the first part, yeah.
Okay, so then how does the first part affect the second part involving Universitario in Peru?
Okay, so Francisco, get ready for this name, huh? They call it El Polaco because it's easier to call it El Polaco than his last name is Fidrusevski. That's his last name.
Okay.
Right? He's got a Polish last name, Fidrusevski. All right. He used to play for Barcelona in Ecuador. They won the championship with Barcelona. Won the championship with Aucas in Ecuador. A consistent goal-scoring player. So San Lorenzo acquired this guy back in August. In August. And of course, he didn't get paid. A month, 2 months, 3 months, and he was like, "All right, you know what, guys? I'm done. I'm done with you." And no, well, this and that. So he parted ways with the club.
Right.
He got his lawyers. He got his agents, and like we're ending the contract here because you're not paying me. Okay. Oh, so what happened with Universitario? Oh, Universitario was looking for a number 9, and they went to Buenos Aires to talk to this guy, to this Fidrusevski guy. That was last week, 10 days ago.
Okay. They
went to Buenos Aires. He was not the only player that they talked to, right? They talked to another 2 players from the second division. But this is the main guy. And this is a guy that won a championship with Fabian Bustos, who is the current head coach of Universitario de Deportes and current champion with Universitario de Deportes. He knows this guy. He knows how to play this guy. He worked with this guy. Okay? All right, so they went to talk to him last week. And then negotiations went back and forth. I think they come up with the numbers. And okay, boom! Yesterday he ends his contract with San Lorenzo. Now he's not under contract anymore. He is free, and he's not getting paid in the last 4 months. So maybe, if I'm offering you 10 and 115, we can settle at, I don't know, maybe 11, 12.
And you're going to get paid, and the check won't bounce, and the money will show up.
Exactly. Because guess what? The day before, so he ended the contract yesterday, but the day before, Gian Ferrari, which is the president of Universidad Deportes, made a press conference and gave all the numbers for the year in blue, everything in blue. And guess we got in revenue last year, $36 million, brother. $36 million in revenue. It's not a bad number for a Peruvian team, brother. Not a bad number. All right. So they know that the money is coming. Of course, we got to pay an insane amount of debt that we got to pay. But they already make a payment plan with the government. And we're not paying 30 years, brother. But we're not paying you. We're going to pay you in 30 years. We're not drop because now we got revenue. We're not going to give you all the money. We're going to do a payment plan, installments, everything. The money goes to the right places. And this guy, Ferrari, has been doing fantastic. He took the job from the club from the ruins, because the club was in ruins 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, boom, boom, boom. We won 2 championships. We got money coming. We got the steady head coach. Everything is in the right place right now for Universidad Deportes. And if I were Fidusevsky, I would say yes to Universidad.
I bet. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so when Niko shows up, I have the handoff question, because I have a question for both of you. So I'm reserving the right. I'm taking my first time out. I've got the handoff question for both of you this morning. So we'll get to that when Niko shows up from Seattle, coming up here in just a little bit. Last thing that you had on your list was the rainbow armband case. What's going on there?
Yeah, you saw it, right? In the Premier League, they came up with this idea to get the armband, the rainbow armband,
and the jackets and everything. Yeah.
I think that was a bit too much for me, to be honest. Right? You just get your armband and get there, and okay. So I forgot the name of the player who did this. It's Gehi. I think it's Gehi.
Yeah, Mark Gehi. Yeah, from Crystal Palace.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wrote on the armband, "I love Jesus." He got banned for that. He got suspended. He got paid a fine because he did something disrespectful to the community. Brother, if you want to be loved, but you just don't want to be loved by Jesus. Is that the thing? Is that what I'm getting? I don't know. I think it's just double standards about all around this issue. And I don't know. It's just, it happened in the Olympics too. All the controversy. The players. The athletes cannot wear anything religious. You're not offending anyone, buddy. You're not offending anyone. And there's nothing wrong with love. And if it's religious, I don't think it's gonna be wrong either. But they think it was bad, so it is what it is, man.
Mm-hmm. All right. So when you are watching matches this weekend, we know you're calling them because we're going to be watching, and we're going to be shouting out on WhatsApp and trying to see if we can get you to respond on TikTok and social media. When you have your time that you're not studying or calling a match, what are you watching this weekend and why?
Actually, I was watching last night the Superliga Argentina, San Lorenzo versus River Plate. I stopped watching that league for a while because it was not attractive anymore for me. It was for me like every team was playing the same. Every team was got the same style, the same haircuts, the same everything. But last night was the good old days, man, in Argentine football. Lots of intensity. the Monumental Stadium in Buenos Aires, because of the Copa Libertadores, they got this renovation. And I'm telling you, right now is the sexiest stadium in the planet, brother. That stadium is just beautiful, because they got, before, the stands were too far away from the pitch, and now they added these 4 sections, and got it closer, kind of like the Premier League, but although that is just a bit bigger than those stadiums in the Premier League that I love. And I love watching. This is my list. I watch Serie A, I watch Premier League, and I watch Bundesliga.
Okay.
I'm not La Liga, only Barcelona or Real play, but I don't follow much La Liga, to be honest, because I don't know. I don't get that feeling with La Liga. But Serie A, Bundesliga, and Premier, those are my go-to watch leagues on the weekends, man.
What have you thought so far about Amorim and Manchester United?
He's the man. He's the man for a job, brother. He knows he's gonna make mistakes. He knows that the team is not gonna play the way he wants in the first 3, 4, 5 games, and he is he's a leader. He's a natural born leader, and he's getting interviews. The English media, how they are, right? They're just like obnoxious, brother. They are obnoxious, right? And I saw this interview with Gary Neville, and when he told him, when he asked him, hey, what's your goal? What's your goal for Manchester United? It's gonna be 4th place, right? Because Champions League. No, my goal is to win the next game. That's my goal. You're gonna criticize me. You're gonna judge me. That's on you. You judge me. That's your job. Me, I'm not worried about if I get into the 4th place, 5th place, 6th place. As long as I focus on the very next game, I'll be fine. Boom. That's the message right there for Amorim. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me, brother.
Don't mess with me. I give the man full credit for being locked in and not sitting there and looking at something down the road, because he's got to fix stuff that's in front of him. He can't sit there and think about what's going to go on in March and April.
Right.
You got to fix December first before you get to that other round.
Exactly. And I think United is going to be fine. But man, I was talking to the Portuguese guys, and they told me that the Ruben promised that he was not going to tear apart the roster once he goes to United, right? I don't know, because I don't know if that promise is going to stay or what kind of promise he made, but he needs players in Manchester. He needs people that he needs to run the show properly, and he's not having those pieces right now. So especially on top, especially with Marquinhos Rashford, I love Marcus, but I think he's gonna go down the list as one of the most inconsistent players in the Premier League. He could have been a superstar. Remember when he was 18, he was scoring goals left and right, 18, 19 years old, Marcus Rashford, the next big thing in Europe. And then he went downhill, disappeared. I don't know. The same with Garnacho. There's a lot of excitement about Garnacho, but not for me. And the center back position, you need it, bro.
Yeah.
You need him. You don't want your captain to be a meme every single week. With Maguire, he's the guy. I think he is the player with the most memes in the planet, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's
locking it down every single day. All right, we got to run a fancy open because somebody's here from Seattle, so we're going to run a fancy open right now. Beat 2, 3, 4. Niko, Nino, and Nelson. It's time for the handoff here on a Thursday. First off, my friend, which cup of coffee are you on? One or two?
This is number two. This is number two. It's been a bit of a moving morning. Always excited to be on with John, with Nino, with my folks down there in Atlanta. Just happy to be on. Cup number two.
All right. So here's the handoff question for this morning. I was thumbing through some stuff, and I found this particular post from Fabrizio Romano. And it had to do after Botafogo won their title. And John Texter, the owner of Eagle Football Group for the moment, until he wants to go and buy Everton, admitted on his Instagram account that he found out about Thiago Almada as a player on the 280 character app. Bruh didn't know about him. Dude on Twitter reaches out to John Texter and says, hey, you ought to give this guy named Thiago Almada a look. So John Texter gives Thiago Almada a look, signs him from Atlanta United, and now has won a title with him at Botafogo. I ask the both of you, and since, Nino, you have been here first, I will ask you first, and then this will give Niko a chance to formulate a response as well. If you're an owner of a club, do you openly admit on your Instagram stories that you recruited because someone recommended a player on Twitter to you?
I got no issues with that. I would do it. Yeah, I don't care. I gotta be honest with you, brother. I mean, if I didn't find out about the guy, maybe my scout team, they overlooked him. I overlooked him. Like the coach overlooked him, and then somebody on social media says, "Hey, pay attention to this guy." Hey, and it's not any guy, right? It's Romano, the guru of the transfers in the planet. So this guy might know that he got something. So yeah, I'll admit it. No problem. No issue, man. I'll do it.
Libertador da America reaches out in Portuguese to John Texter and literally says there's a good player, Niko. There's a good player called Thiago Almada. I believe he's a great addition to Botafogo for the Libertadores. He's an Argentine who sets up plays, is fast, has good finishing, and can also play for the wingers. At the moment, he plays for Atlanta United. Texter responded, I'll check him out. Thanks. We've got recruiting going on via Twitter, man.
Look, I think that whenever you are a person in a role that demands respect and you are representing your organization, you got to just be able to phrase things a little bit better than that. I am with Nino in the fact that, hey, you know what? Maybe it's a funny story. Maybe you just bring it out. Believe you me, that anyone who doesn't take information from anywhere as a recruiter is doing themselves a disservice. There are times where you might have missed a player, and it could be a fan, it could be a reporter, it could be absolutely anybody bringing a player to your attention. And if you don't check it out, you might miss out on a player, because I mean, that's just the way of the game. You might be a manager or a recruiter, scouter that's hyper focused in Europe or hyper focused in Spain or whatever it might be, and getting these sort of tips, sometimes you go check it out and you strike gold. So I don't see anything wrong with the method, but the phrasing could have been done a little bit better. I think that I would have Frenched it up a little bit in my benefit if I was in that position.
If I'm an owner, it's like, instead of sitting there and saying, yeah. And so on his Instagram story, Texter says, why do I always try to be accessible? ? I was chosen, in quotation marks, for Botafogo on LinkedIn and found Thiago Almada through Twitter. What's next? So John _Texter on his Instagram stories revealed that. And I just wanted to check with my two other owners in Peru and in Seattle about what they thought about that. Nino, my friend, we'll be watching this weekend. We'll be watching later today, Moreirense and Sporting, as the fall of Sporting continues in Portugal at 3:15 Eastern time on Gold TV. Thank you, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Always a pleasure, guys. See you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bro.
Yeah, there go. There's Nino and Niko. All right. So now it's you and me. All right. I had to bring that story to the table. I saw that, and Fabrizio Romano had the screen cap of Texter on his Instagram story sitting there saying, this is why I'm always accessible. and it ended up with the recruitment of Tiago Almada from Atlanta United for Eagle Football Group, and got him a crown at Botafogo.
Hey, look, not to toot my own horn, but I've spoken to a lot of GMs, sporting directors across MLS, and they're having players that we've mentioned in conversations. And then a couple of months later, if it's not to that specific team, they're on to another team, and they end up being pretty successful. So, I mean, it does happen. I mean, we're all passionate for the game. We all watch it. We're all scouting for the next gem that's going to come out, and sometimes we have the right idea. We're all looking at the same guy, and maybe it's missed some way along the ways for some of these guys. And yeah, so I like that being accessible. I would do the same thing. I'd be more than open to anybody providing me a little bit of extra information if I was in that position. Now, again, is that the phrasing is that I have an issue with. You could just say, I got resources of all forms and shapes to do the job that I do, and whatever. But that's a little too open, too transparent for me.
Yeah. So, quoting our good friend Arn Anderson,
I don't want to say I told you so. I don't want to blow our own horn, but toot, toot. We are still recipients and owners of all the trophies.
that is our man Arn Anderson of the four.
I like it.
You don't mess with Double A, the enforcer. That's what that. We got stuff to get into here. Do you want to start with the game at the end of the season, or do you want to start with the roster moves that happened that are attached to that big old coffee mug of yours that happened yesterday?
Hey, you quarterback it, baby. I'm good either way. I mean, we could go chronological and start at the game and end with the moves and decisions. So yeah.
All right, so let's bust it down. All right, let's talk about the last game of the end of the season here, and the fact that Ricky Puig played 30 minutes on a damaged and eventually, I guess, torn. We don't know if it was torn at the moment, but played 30 minutes on a wonky knee and still had the moment of the match that got LAG the goal that they needed to knock off Seattle. What's it been like in town since Seattle finished up on the short end of a 1-0 match that was it was nervy at points, but it was a great conference final?
Yeah, definitely a disappointment in the Pacific Northwest here in Seattle. The fans believed that this could happen. Once again, they fall one game short of a final. I think that I gotta just tip the hat to Ricky. All my respect. You could see how painful it was for him. I mean, I rewatched the game. He's hopping on one leg. He's walking around. You could see it. You can see it's bothering him. And it seems that all he wants to do is leave the game once he makes something happen. A goal, a pass. He has a shot blocked. You can see the frustration. There's a point where I think it's Painzel that has it on the left, and he is kind of in an open space in between the lines. He wants the ball. He doesn't get it. He grabs his head. It's like he was so frustrated with not being able to influence the game before he has to go, because he knows that knee is either out or going out. So I applaud him. I applaud him because he makes that goal happen. Seattle, on the other hand, I thought that they surprised me in the approach of the game, in the execution of the game plan to limit Ricky, to limit Painzel, to limit Peck, even Jovic to a certain extent. They were keeping him off dangerous zones. They were not allowing services into Jovic for most of the game. They really locked down the flanks. Nuhu did a fantastic job. But whenever you're facing a team like LA, you can't afford to make mistakes, and that's what ultimately cost Seattle the game. Nathan passes the ball, ill-advised pass into Alex Roldan in a pressure zone. I thought that pass was unnecessary where he put it. Alex Roldan tries to pass it immediately to Joe Pablo. That pass, he kind of whiffs it, takes a big bounce. It ends up on LA Galaxy player, ultimately into Ricky into Jovic, and that's the game. So credit to Ricky. Credit to LA Galaxy for staying in the game, for also being patient. They could have changed things around. They had some issues of their own. Marco Royce ends up leaving in the 45th. I thought Delgado did a great job coming in and filling in. So credit to Greg Vanney and this LA Galaxy team in Seattle. As much as they had their difficulties throughout the season, I thought in the playoffs they played sound soccer. They played to their strengths, which was being a defensive team. In this one, no Yammer Gomez Andrade, no Reed, no Paul, and you still are able to hold the best offensive team in MLS, probably, without Inter Miami, perhaps. But they were definitely the most talented group, in my opinion, up top. And you were able to do that with some absences. So I've been pretty hard on this team, on Brand Smetzer, and I will give him credit for going in front of the cameras and saying this was not a successful year. I agree with him, and he could have gone up there, chest forward and saying, look, nobody believed in us. We got to where we did. We got as far as, many teams would have wanted to be. We got to the final of the Western Conference, and he didn't. He was very forward about it not being a successful year, and I agree with him, and I applaud him for it.
It appeared to me, and call me an idiot if I'm an idiot, that what Seattle wanted to do was make LAG fight left-handed. And what I mean by that is they took Paintsil away, and they tried to take Peck away at times, and Peck ends up on the left-hand side, and he gets to create with Puig. But it looked like they wanted to try to have LAG fight left-handed. Let's take the Bishop out of play. Let's kind of pin him in. So we'll pin Joveljic in. We'll take Paintsil away and try to have Puig and Peck and that left-hand side beat us. Was I wrong in that?
Yes, but more in the design of, I know I have my best one-on-one defender on the left. So if I'm going to get stuck in a moment where there is a transition moment and there is an opening, I'm going to have my best defender take you down. I'm going to provide more help on the right side where Alex Roldan is not as defensively sound as Nuhu is. That's also the side where I had Nathan, who had less than 8 starts on that end. So there was a little bit more of a collective effort on that side, and knowing that, and he did, ends up locking down Nuhu, ends up locking down Peck, then I feel a little bit better by putting all my efforts to my quote-unquote weaker side. So yes, I did think that they tried to move it on over here, and LA Galaxy, in a very savvy way, they started to force balls into Paintsil and force balls on the other side, and that ended up working quite a bit. So I don't think you're wrong on that. I think that there was a sense of more of the effort being done to maybe leave Peck and Ricky out on the left side.
So now LAG is in the last game of the year. Royce is a question mark. Puig is out. How do you foresee them trying to keep this attack going in 5th gear up against this Red Bulls team? How do you envision this lineup looking now?
Yeah, I think you go back to, I don't remember if it was June when Ricky missed 5 games. I believe that in those 5 games, they won 3, lost 1, and drew 1. It was Cerrillo, Delgado, and Fagundes in that midfield. And I feel like Fagundes can do a lot of the Ricky type stuff. Obviously more limited. I don't want to call him Ricky. I'm just saying when it comes to the passing, when it comes to the ability to distribute, he's not as strong, obviously, getting forward and being vertical with the ball, breaking lines with the ball, but he can definitely provide some of the Ricky things that can hold this thing together. And I think that when it comes to depth, LA Galaxy has it in midfield. They still got, Bruckman if they want to bring him in. They want to play a little bit more defensive. They want to be more careful. But I think it will be just Fagundes coming in. And Delgado came in for Royce in the last game. And I thought LA Galaxy looked better with Delgado on the pitch. So I'm thinking that it's going to be a very easy transition. It's going to be exactly the same thing that you saw in the second half against the Sounders, plus Fagundes for Ricky.
All right. So then out of the Eastern Conference, it's Red Bull. And everybody sits there and they look at the idea of, oh, well, they're a low seed, the lowest seed ever to make it to MLS Cup out of the Eastern Conference. But they're not that seed. You know the difference in Red Bulls. Red Bulls are not that seed. With a healthy Emil Forsberg versus a not healthy Emil Forsberg, you see the difference between them being who they are and who they ended up being with look, they ain't no 7 seed. I'll tell you that right now. But you see the difference in Red Bulls and Sandro Schwartz with Emil Forsberg in that lineup.
Yeah, and I think you saw it early in the season when this team did have all their tools and they were all in form and they go on a bit of a run, and you see a lot of the Red Bull pressure and a lot of the secondary balls, the duels, and everything that you're seeing success of this team throughout the playoffs. So I agree with you. I don't think that they were a 7 seed, but the circumstances of the season led them to lose a lot of games, lose a lot of momentum. And you and I both know that inertia is a big thing when it comes to MLS, is a big thing when it comes to getting into the playoffs. They were able to regain that, and now you see that maybe that played into their own advantage as well, because you have teams going into a 3-game series or a 1-game playoff scenario with a team that you're kind of underestimating because of their seeding, because of the boring way they play or whatever it might be. They're going to allow us the ball, and then all of a sudden being very good about what they do. And that's what you've heard me say 1,000 times. Identity is a key component to winning games, and that's what they have, is an identity. They all know exactly what they're playing for. Everybody is giving you ultimate effort, and when you get that guy with the magic feet, the guy that can change it all up in Emil Forsberg, it just amplifies everything around you, and that's why you have them where they are. I thought that Orlando City, they kind of shot themselves in the foot, not being able to finish the moments they created, because Red Bulls is a team that you cannot allow to stay in the game. You cannot allow them to just settle into the game. You got to be able to take away those moments and make them pay, and they weren't able to do that. Facundo Torres had a clear shot. I think it was poorly placed.
Mm-hmm.
Cornell, great save, whatever you might want to say, but there were 1,000. There were at least 3 more ways that Facundo Torres could approach that shot, pass it, or whatever it was, to make it a more optimal decision, and he didn't. So credit to Red Bulls. I think they're going to make it difficult for LAG, but credit to Schwartz, this midfield. I mean, when I looked at the injury report and I saw that Carvalho was not going to be in, I was like, oh, that's a tough one. Hey, Stroud came in, did a fantastic job. Edelman has been great all season, or at least to close the season, and they did great.
Juice boxes have LAG at a -119. That has been trickling back toward even money as the week has gone along. 90-minute draws, a +279 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Red Bulls are a +286. What do you think?
Ooh. That's a tough one, man.
I'm just gonna, if you're saying tough, that means to me you're looking at a number. You're looking at totals. You're not looking at anything else.
Yeah, maybe totals would be the way to go in this one. But either way, let me just kind of break it down to you, just because as much as I do believe that this LA Galaxy team has depth to replace Ricky and perhaps Marco Royce, who I don't think is as influential as Ricky, obviously. It does change their game. It does make it a little bit slower. It does make it a little bit more predictable, if you will, because the things that Ricky's willing to do, no one in that team is willing to do. And even if Fagundes is a good passer, he doesn't have the same passing ability to put balls in between lines and through balls that Ricky does. And all Red Bulls needs is one time where you are doubting yourself on a pass, that you don't put enough pace on a pass, that you're coming and building out of the back and you give him an opportunity. So I honestly have a hard time. I think that LAG will pull it off ultimately. And I don't think the margins are very high in this one. I think that it shouldn't surprise anybody if Red Bulls, that has taken out Columbus, that has taken out Orlando, that has, continued to get clean sheets on their way to the final, beats this LAG team. But I'm going to take LAG. But what are the numbers in terms of the scoring?
3.5 is a plus 165 for the over. 4.5 is a plus 376.
No.
I think 3.5 is the play here. I think you're looking at probably if it's 90 minutes. Well, let's go backward. 3 is where it changes from minus to plus. 3 is a plus 112. So if you think it's 2-1, you can get a little bit added to your pocketbook if you go at a plus 112 on the over at 3.
Yeah, look, let me get that 3.5, and I'm gonna take LAG. Ultimately, I feel like there were moments where Angulo and Facu Torres had the opportunities to exploit when the Red Bulls were very high in their lines doing that pressing, and they were unable to capitalize, whether it was a poor movement by Ojeda or a bad touch by Torres or Ramiro Enrique that did not have a good game at all. You cannot do it against LAG. And Joveljic is an assassin. And the face he put when he scores, no reaction, just angry at the camera. He's trying to show you, man, that he's disrespected. That everybody talks about triple P's, that everybody talks about Royce and whoever you want. And nobody talks about Joveljic, but that's a bad, bad man. I mean, that is the face of an assassin, and he's ready to just take you out. I think he's going to be big in the final. I thought he was a determining factor in this game against Seattle. So give me LAG, and I'll take the 3.5.
All right. Now, the roster news that I wanted to get into from yesterday involves the team that you cover on a daily basis. And it was a big part of the discussion we had in hour number 1 about an individual in particular. Raul Ruidiaz out of contract, leaving Seattle after 7 seasons. That opens up a DP slot in Seattle. So he departs as their all-time leading scorer across all comps, 2 titles, MLS Cup, and the Triple C back in 22. In talks was João Paulo and Albert Rusnak. JP has played in over 100 matches. Rusnak, a DP, second leading scorer in 24 with 10 goals and 16 assists. So you get to the Western Conference Final. You now wonder what Craig Weibel has up his sleeve. Options exercised. Baker Whiting, Bell, Castro, Chu, Rodriguez, Rothrock. Declined Kitahara, Nathan, Dylan Tevez. Ruidiaz out of contract in discussions, JP and Rusnak. And the question that we brought to the floor is the Niko Ladero-esque question involving Raul Ruidiaz this time. Would someone who made $2 million base and 2.7 this past season think of themselves as a TAM player who comes in, has to be that microwave? You come in, I need instant impact. You don't have to start every match for me. You maybe start 50% of them. You're in multiple competitions. I know you'll showcase in certain points, but you ain't going to be making $2 million or 2.7. You might be making the Ladero money of $800,000 that he did this year for the purple team. What do you think is going to go on now with Raul Ruidiaz now that he gets to go and pursue his own future someplace else?
Look, I'd like to start by saying that it has been an absolute privilege to cover the franchise best striker of all time. No doubt in my mind, at least to me, in my opinion, take it for what you will. Goals per minute tells you everything you need to know about how good he's been for this squad. From breaking the news, the transfer news here in Seattle about his signing, all the way to the last game, has been a real learning experience in the way a certain player can be little misunderstood, but that has all the quality in the world. So when it comes to his potential future, I will say that there is a lot of interest, and I kind of saw it when it comes to money. Yes, he's not going to get a DP contract here in MLS. He'll be a high level camp player. I wouldn't put it past him to even get a little bit more than Niko just because of the position that he plays in, where maybe there's a little bit more belief that you can revive him in a Joseph Martinez sort of way. Um, so I think that there are two markets that have the advantage. One is MLS. After December 12th, when free agency opens, you'll be able to take real offers. I've mentioned already twice, there's at least two teams interested. There seems to be a couple more they've added since last time we spoke. So there is a few teams that are willing to take a gamble on a former elite striker in MLS. The other is Liga MX, and Liga MX has turned into, it's kind of funny because they used to call MLS the retirement league.
Yeah.
And now if you've been in MLS and you haven't had a good season, or you want to take a second chance of your career, you go down to Mexico. I mean, you have Luis Amarilla down there. You had Aquiloba. You have Francisco Calvo. Just yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Dahome was presented at Santos. So you got all these MLS players that get, if not similar money, maybe even more money than they would have here, because they're a new commodity in Liga MX. So I think those are the two markets where Raul Ruidiaz would go to, and maybe Nino is going to have a heartbreak here, but I think Universitario would be a very last resort. I think all of the circus that media created with some false reporting that he was going to be at Universitario last summer hurt the whole process. It hurt even Raul Ruidiaz's decision making, and I just think that those two markets, MLS and MX, is where Raul Ruidiaz will end up ultimately.
Is he at a point in his career where he will take the 1 year and we'll go ahead and see what happens, and I'll go ahead and I'll do the prove it to you 1 year deal? Or does he want security and want the 1+ option, 2+ option, 2 years solid? Where is he in his career, do you think?
That's a great question. It's actually, he wants that 2-year contract, and New England Revolution was interested in him during the summer, and I'm told that he was looking for a 2-year deal. And between a whole bunch of things that happened, they weren't able to make the deal happen. So can New England be also another team that is interested in him and is willing to give him a 2-year deal at this point in time that maybe they weren't ready to do in the summer? We'll see. But yes, definitely looking for at least a 2-year deal. That's what I'm hearing. That's what most players are. João Pablo's situation is very similar. He is right now, I'm told, 50-50 whether he'll come back to Seattle or not. It was a lot less a few days ago. He was ultimately going to be leaving, but now they're in negotiations with the club. I broke this before the press release from the team, that he was negotiating with the team. He does want a 2-year deal, so that's going to be important for any player at that age, right? Is job security. Is I want to make sure that I'm getting at least 2 years, and then we'll see what happens after that. So yes, Raul, JP, both of them will be looking for that 2-year deal. In terms of the other players that are out, I don't see Dylan Tevis coming back. I don't see Sota coming back. Nathan definitely not back for that price tag. So Seattle definitely making some moves to either trying to bring down the price of some of these other players or looking elsewhere to get that depth.
What about Rusnak?
Albert is an interesting one, man, because look, there's a huge discussion. We just had that on 93.3 KJR in radio last night, and it's hard to argue that the numbers aren't there. And I am someone who does believe that if you are a player that came on, produced for my team, I'm going to take care of you. But that doesn't mean I'm going to throw the house out the window either. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where if you want to raise that's beyond reasonable, then I got to let you go. But he's on a contract that's about 2.3, if I'm not mistaken, right now. How much is that raise that you're asking for? So I think Albert Rusnak, and the reason why they're negotiating is because he does want more money. I would put the cap at 2.6. I would not go beyond that. I do believe that he is worth the DP spot. People have been on my mentions and said, hey, he's not worth the DP, all of these things. Maybe he isn't the best DP, but he does give you continuity. And he has proven to you that he can assist, that he can score, maybe with a better surrounding team, that Costellar group around him, he might be even better. I've said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times that the Sounders need to go get a 26 to 27-year-old striker that has 20 goals in him, that is a proven striker, and that immediately changes and amplifies the things that Albert Rusnak can do. And then you can see what happens with Jordan. Play him out wide, have him, take turns. Maybe you look into a situation where you try out 2 strikers, but I do not think that going into 2025 with Jordan Morris as your only striker or as your main striker is a great solution. Because hear me out here, John. Mm-hmm. People have this misconception that Jordan Morris won the position as the lone striker for this team throughout the season, and he didn't. He was given that position on preseason. Raul Ruiz was relegated to the bench and was always going to be a bench player going into the season, and the only reason why he played as a starter to start 2024 was because Albert Rusnak was hurt. There was a need to go to a 4-4-2 that didn't quite work. I remember asking Jordan Morris if he didn't want to go back to the wing, if he didn't think that he was better, because it wasn't working. It wasn't working with him up top. Now he grew into the position and he got a lot better. And you've heard me say right here that Jordan Morris has grown as a striker and has done a lot of the hold-up play, link-up play, a lot of the things that he wasn't doing before, a lot better now. But that does not mean that I don't think that this team should not go out there and spend that DP money on a proven commodity that can come in and put the team on his shoulders and come out big in big moments when it comes to the striker position.
What is going on this weekend with you and MLS Cup and Pulso Sports on the soccer bar? I imagine that you guys are going to be watching it with your feet kicked up and yelling at a TV screen. What's going on?
Yeah, so we're doing a couple of things. I am actually setting up an end of the season open mic for later on today at 5:30. I'm just going to take people's questions, little Q&A. We'll see who shows up in terms of some of my colleagues or, special guests. But the whole point of this is just to get a take on everybody in terms of what they saw from the Sounders this time around and what's coming up in 2025. If you want to hear my take on whether this was a successful season or not for the Sounders, I don't think it's successful, but I thought it was encouraging. There were little things that we can talk about there in that open mic. We're obviously going to touch up on the final. We're going to be on in Soccer Bar here in about 40 minutes to break down the final nice and in-depth. And we'll definitely have a end of the season special for you guys on Wednesday next week. So that's kind of what we have already programmed in Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar.
As always, my friend, great to see you. Go enjoy the rest of that second cup of coffee. Get ready because you got to get to talking in 40 minutes. Love you, my friend. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, so he's going to enjoy that cup of coffee and to get to it because he's got to calm the voice down. He's got to get the pipes back down, and then get back up and running. He's got to cool the engine a little bit. Then he's got to get back up and running in 40 minutes. So follow at El Rolo NW on the Twitters, on the 280 character app, so you know what's going on with Niko. And ESP and our buddy Nino Torres. ESP, what is it? ESP. Hang on. I always get it confused. I can write it because it's saved, but I can never remember what it is. It is ESP Nino 74 because I'm thinking of it as like ESPN. It's ESP Nino 74. So there you can go there. Okay, a couple of things before we get out of here. Graham Potter said he would be open to West Ham if Julian Lopetegui departs. From Ben Jacobs. Still not a given. Lopetegui could well get at least the Wolves match. Understand Matthias Geisler has also made West Ham's shortlist in case a change is made, along with Kasper Schulman, Sergio Conceição, Edin Terzic, and Roger Schmidt. No contact made with Geisler yet, but the 36-year-old is viewed as a dynamic and progressive coach by some key West Ham decision makers. Remember that they had the big meeting yesterday, and they're trying to figure out the future of Julian Lopetegui. Quick local note, Alan Carlton has signed with a Huntsville City Football Club. And so he and Moises Veliz have now signed with Hunt City. So Alan Carlton goes from Atlanta United 2 to Huntsville City Football Club. So we'll keep an eye on Alan Carlton and what he is up to in MLS Next Pro up in Huntsville. So we'll keep an eye on that. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and all the other things before we get out of here today. We mentioned Kasper Schulman. Arsenal have held initial talks to understand what the situation is with Mateus Cunha and Wolves. Wolves are not interested in selling. That just to me means that everybody's got a price, quoting our buddy Ted DiBiase. Virgil van Dijk has received a contract offer from Liverpool, but it falls short of his expectations. That's from The Athletic. We mentioned Max Allegri is also added to the list with West Ham in possible filling of the position if Lopetegui is let go. Brighton and Chelsea manager Graham Potter, we also mentioned. Okay. Rodri has urged Manchester City to make a move for Athletic Bilbao winger Niko Williams. Harry Maguire, as Nino mentioned in the first half hour of hour number 2, attracting attention from several Premier League clubs amid uncertainty over his situation at Manchester United. Getafe looking to sign Sergio Reguilon from Spurs in January. PSG manager Luis Enrique is not keen on bringing in Victor Gyökeres, who's been linked with Manchester City and Manchester United. United are monitoring Antoine Semenyo, Newcastle are monitoring Antoine Semenyo at Bournemouth, and Brentford's Brian Mbeumo. Arsenal and Liverpool are also monitoring Gabriel Peck. Keep an eye on that one. Crystal Palace set to sign 17-year-old Australian striker Ryland Brownlee on a free. Hull want to appoint Ruben Sayas. We mentioned that yesterday because Jess is at home. And she took a picture of herself at Reading's ground. And then there's another picture of Ruben Sayas, who is being sought after by Hull City. Alex Neil, Slavica Jokanovic, also the other contenders in the role. That's from our friends at The Telegraph. Premier League clubs monitoring Celtics 18-year-old Scottish forward Daniel Cummings. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. And also, it is Fulham and Stockport interested in 16-year-old English midfielder Gabriel Schluter, who has impressed for Blackpool's academy sides. That is gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get into the papers and all the other stories that are there. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And that's today. We'll see what's on the mind of our friends at Soccer America and see what's going on today. Once again, 1 o'clock Eastern time, the Club World Cup bid, the bid show. So you got to keep an eye out for that. Bournemouth and Spurs at 3:15 is on USA. We mentioned Gold TV, Moreirense and Sporting at 3:15. You can see the continued downfall of Sporting in the Portuguese Primeira. I say that with my tongue somewhat planted in cheek, but that's at 3:15 on Gold TV. 2 to NA, Liga MX playoffs. Cruz Azul and America is at 8:30. Universo simulcasting Bournemouth and Spurs. Univision simulcasting Cruz Azul and America. Belgian Cup at 2:30 on the Plus. Anderlecht and Westerlo. We mentioned the draw for the FIFA Club World Cup at 1 o'clock. That's on FIFA Plus. NBCSports.com also simulcasting Bournemouth and Spurs. Coppa Italia is at 3 o'clock on Paramount Plus with Lazio and Napoli. All right, so let's take a tour and see what is going on involving the news and the gossip and the rumor and the innuendo in other places, and we'll see what is going on. The announcement was made once again and reinforced by our friends at Johns Creek this morning that we are 2 months away from the Creek Cup, and that is going to be broadcast on the SDH network, boys and girls games, February 12 through 15. You can go to JCHS Soccer and go to Johns Creek soccer page on their website, or go to Soccer JCHS on the 280 character app. Here's your breakdown. Boys games at Johns Creek, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the gold bracket. Walton, Sequoia, Campbell, and North Atlanta back-to-back. Saturday on the 15th, your third place game and your championship game at 4 and 8. The Cardinal bracket played at Johns Creek on the 14th, on Friday. Dothan High travels from Alabama to take on Tucker, Johns Creek, and Murray County. Saturday, your third place game is at 2. The championship game in the Cardinal bracket is at 6. So Saturday the 15th is turning into a large day on the network. The Titan bracket played at Northview. Midtown and Greenbrier on Friday the 14th. Northview and LaGrange is at 8 o'clock. Third place game is at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday at Johns Creek. Championship game is at 12 from the Titan bracket. So 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. And yes, Johns Creek is turf. So Saturday the 15th is going to be a long day on the SDH network. I don't think we're signing off the air at all. Also, girls matches, green bracket, Saturday. That is at Northview High School. Campbell, LaGrange, Johns Creek, and Midtown, Wednesday the 12th. Championship game is Saturday the 15th at 11. Third place match is at 1 o'clock in the same site at Northview. Blue bracket, Northview, Walton at 6 on Thursday the 13th. Friday the 14th, North Atlanta and Greenbrier. Championship game Saturday at 3. Or third place game is at 3 o'clock for Northview, and Saturday, and the championship game is at 5. So what you have are games at Northview High School Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Boys games at Johns Creek Thursday, Friday, all day Friday. And at Northview High. So Northview is getting some of the boys games on Friday. Johns Creek has boys games Thursday and Friday and Saturday. But the championship games and the third place games from all of these brackets, on the boys' side, they will all gravitate to a marathon day on the SDH network on the 15th of February, Saturday. 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. Girls matches, my guess is that they're going to be on SDH 2. Wednesday, they'll be on the mothership. The Saturday and Thursday's blue bracket game, Northview and Walton's probably on SDH 2. Friday's game will be on the mothership. The championship games and the third place games on the girls' side on Saturday will be on SDH 2. Because 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. Boys' side, all at Johns Creek on Saturday. 11, 1, 3, 5. Girls' side, Northview, Saturday. So the girls' games will probably be on SDH 2. The boys' games, and I'm just programming this out loud in my head. All the boys' games in the day we will not leave Johns Creek High School on the 15th. So that's what it's staring at for us right now. So go to @SoccerJCHS. Northview, average of 12 wins a team last year, 4 out of 8 region champs, 7 out of 8 made the playoffs. All 7 playoff teams won at least one round. 4 finished in the Elite 8, 2 finished in the Final 4. So 12 boys teams combined had an average of 11 wins last year, 7 out of 12 region champs. 10 out of 12 made the playoffs. 4 teams finished in the Elite 8, 2 finished Final 4, 1 state runner-up. Yeah, that's the Creek Cup. That's coming February 12 through 15 here on the network on SDH and SDH2. So that'll be fun for us to broadcast all of that. All of that. Four-card thinks about the goal versus Atlanta United in 2019 every time he thinks or hears about Raul Rui Diaz. And David, thank you for the kind words. David says he's not a huge fan of all the guests, but to a man and woman, they all seem to be truly wonderful people and based on these conversations. And they are. They're really cool dudes. And what we try to do is we try to give you as wide-ranging a normal guest pattern as possible. Because if you think about it, during the span of a week, and I know we're going way long, and thank you, David, for the kind words about me being a great dude. I try. Mondays, it's with Abe Gordon from 92.9, so you get your early Atlanta United fix. And Bart comes in, and Bart gives you everything from a reffing perspective and national team perspective. And so that's Bart's bailiwick, and we have that with him. Then on Wednesdays, it's Tyler once again to reinforce from a longer perspective what we know from Atlanta United and what we hear from Scarves and Spikes. Then Dylan Butler from the national perspective to bring in Major League Soccer. When we can find Marion Crowder and she's not, trying to call SEC or USL Super League or coach or all these kinds of things, we can pin her down. We get her perspectives on the Super League and the college game. Then you end up with Nino and Niko today on the Power Hour. And you get soccer over there, soccer around the world, and you get the Western perspective of Major League Soccer that a lot of folks don't chase after. And then on Fridays during the game weeks, it's Jason coming in at 10:30 to break down what's going on with Atlanta United and getting our friends from Beyond Goals to drop by with Greg and Michael Parkers to get their view on the world and what it's like to be a mentor and what it's like to have mentees and juggle all of that landscape. So we try to give you as wide a base of information on the morning show as we can every single week. Then when topical things happen, we'll bring guests in, like during the colleges. We try to bring folks in the playoffs where, like I said, we're efforting Sporting Jacks and Tebow FC, as Alex refers to it. All the newsmaker stuff, we've got the slots available for that too. And then if they can't make the morning show on SDHAM, then we try to do the tape things, and those end up on the app and on YouTube and all the other places. So what we try to do is give you as wide a berth and as wide an information base as possible while having fun too, because it is a morning show. Try to give you as wide an information base and as wide a guest base as possible about everything that goes on during the week. And we've always had the thought, rising tide lifts all boats. So if you end up with a random UPSL interview, or if you find out what's going on in Division II at Columbus State with the number 2 team in the country that just happens to be in the footprint, and something new with Sporting Jacks where they're going to be in the USL Super League next year and they're going to be playing at the University of North Florida. That's breaking news here in the footprint. So we always try to bring journalism and thought and deep dives and stuff you need to consider, whether it's stuff you need to know or you knew about it or not. All of this stuff we always try to bring into the umbrella of the morning show. And this is season 7 of the morning show, and we could not be accomplishing everything that we are in the public sphere without all of you. So, David, bless you for saying what you're saying, but at the same time, we could not do it without all of you plus ones. Without all of you folks coming in here every day and letting us know what's going on in your brain, what's going on in your part of the world, what's going on with your fans and your teams and all this kind of stuff. We couldn't do it without you guys. Without you guys being with us this entire time, we couldn't be doing things like the Creek Cup. We couldn't be doing things like Atlanta United 2. We couldn't be going on the road to Huntsville City. We couldn't be catching up with our friends in Tormenta and USL League One and Kaylor Hodges and the USL show and all those kinds of things. We couldn't do that without all of you guys every single day. And it's just what we try to do. We try to do it every day, try to give you the best, try to give you the information to start your day. And maybe at some point, somebody will try and break some news during the show instead of during a news dump where we have to talk about it the next morning. We're working on that too. So but once again, we'll let you know what's going on in and around the planet and go from there. All right, let's go through the papers really quickly. And I know we're long. Okay. But Derek, we're glad you found us. Fulham and Brighton, by the way, is at 2:30, and Spurs and Bournemouth are at 3:15. Chaos yesterday. Newcastle United, Liverpool 3-3. Arsenal beat Manchester United 2-0. Chelsea put 5 on Southampton. I would still keep an eye on Russell Martin. And Manchester City beat Forest 3-0. So you had all of the goals yesterday. According to our friends at the Telegraph, Manchester City is willing to offer Kevin De Bruyne a move to a sister club whenever he leaves. According to Mike McGrath at the Telegraph, he will be granted an option to move within City Football Group as they are keen to extend the association with the club legend. Scored against Nottingham Forest yesterday. Out of contract in 7 months, unsure about his future. When he talked about his future before the match against Feyenoord, City wants to keep him within City Football Group. NYCFC, see, this would be a way to keep him away from San Diego. You want to talk NIL deal? You want to talk about Dylan Butler Estates? How about Kevin De Bruyne coming to town when that thing's built? Melbourne City in Australia, clubs in Europe. Linked with foreign clubs after a decade. Saudi Pro, remember we mentioned the Saudi Pro League's interested. We mentioned San Diego, early talks. So America has consistently being proposed, according to McGrath, represented by Rock Nation for commercial work. Although his last City deal, as we talked about in hour number 1, widely reported to have been negotiated by himself, no agents listed on the FA's list of transactions. 10th season at City. Arrived for £55 million in 2015. 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League, 2 FA Cups, 5 League Cups. Twice voted PFA Players Player of the Year, 114 assistances. And so apparently last week in Sky's TV programming, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher intimated that there was a rift between Pep and KDB. So Guardiola then said at a subsequent press conference, no, I don't want Kevin to play. The guy who has the most talent in the final third, I don't want it. I have a personal problem with him after 9 years together. Pelvic injury in mid-September, first start since then. So keep an eye on Kevin De Bruyne inside CFG. We mentioned what happened yesterday in all the other matches. Trying to scan the other papers really quickly and see if there's anything that I have missed. And no, it's not going to be a 4-hour show because we still have the Club World Cup draw at 1 o'clock. So 3-3 draw yesterday, Liverpool and Newcastle. And this is another question that I should have brought up. Jack Stevens yesterday in the Southampton match with Chelsea was sent off for pulling Mark Cucurella's hair. I know that we've seen that in the NFL with Troy Polamalu when he was a defensive back and folks would try to pull his hair and they come up with big old chunks, you know. But you end up with, at the end of the day, getting sent off for pulling hair. And that did not work. Did not go well. Southampton down a man, lost 5-1. Like I said, keep an eye on Russell Martin. Everton crushed Wolves, easing pressure on Sean Dyche. I started Ashley Young in fantasy, one of the rare things that happened to me. Villa beat Brentford, putting 3 in the back of the net there. And like I said, we mentioned what is going on later today with the 2 matches there. And apparently Mark Gahey has escaped punishment over what he wrote on the armband. 9 were arrested over tragedy chanting at the Liverpool-Manchester City match, so I guess we have to reset the clock to 0 when it comes to stupidity down here. Ruud van Nistelrooy admitted he was hurt by his exit at Manchester United, but now he's at Leicester City, and Tapas Srivada Banaprabha seems to be pretty happy with him so far, at least with early returns. Manchester City's hearing is going to end this week. The timeline for the outcome has now been revealed, according to Miguel Delaney at the Independent. And considerable will in the competition to have it finally settled this year. Likelihood of appeals from either side could mean it runs into the 25-26 campaign. The hearing has gone exactly according to schedule, started on 17 September. And so it looks like we might be coming to an end to our national nightmare. Lawyers have been making arguments for Manchester City, currently scheduled to conclude this week, with an outcome anticipated in February. So you can sit there and say everything you want in court, but apparently, or in this hearing, but apparently it's not going to be ending one way or the other until February with some kind of a decision against Manchester City or for Manchester City in that independent tribunal. Gary O'Neill apparently responded to the sacking taunts that he got from his own fans as they lose 4-0 to Everton at Goodison Park. Fourth time this year they conceded 4 or more. Performance showed why they've got the Premier League's worst defense. 2 in 14. Whatever the fans think of me, there's definitely none working harder than me, and I will continue to do so until someone tells me not to. I go over there to see them because I appreciate every one of the Wolves fans. They've given me unbelievable support since I arrived at the football club. I accept responsibility for my part in that. Whatever criticism they want to throw at me will not change how I feel about them. Everyone at this football club needs to do more. Get back to be ready to fight again on Monday against West Ham. Ashley Young's 370-minute Evertonian wait for a goal with a 10th-minute free kick gave him a 2-0 lead at the half. But it appears Gary O'Neill's more than happy to take all the slings and arrows thrown his way. And so we'll see what happens involving that. Wales make history with a qualification on the women's side for Euro 2025. Nations have been urged to speak out against Saudi Arabia hosting the 2034 World Cup, according to Jamie Gardner. Obviously, no alternative or few alternatives have been put together. Football Association should not stay silent on the hosting of the 2034 World Cup out of, quote, political convenience, closed quote, comma, Amnesty International has said. Once again, the sole bidder, British FA, yet to offer any public or private indication of where they stand or how they'll vote. Norwegian Federation President Lisa Klaveness is one of the very few who have spoken out against the process that FIFA has followed. So Amnesty International is sitting there saying, yeah, bro, it's okay to speak out. It's okay. Let's see. So that was that paper and that paper and that paper. Did I mention that paper already? Did I go to that paper? Yeah, I did go to that paper. Okay. So I think that will cover it on the sheet for today. I think it will. I think it's okay. So we're going to hear from Steve Livingston in a taped piece later this afternoon. And we'll find out about Sporting Jacks on the women's side. We'll find out about that and set your fantasy teams appropriately if you have not adjusted them for what is going on today. Derek, as you said, thank you for letting us know we do amazing stuff. Regret is that you didn't find us earlier, but you found us now, and you're here with us every single time that you can be. That's what matters, is that you're here every single time. Once again, all right, we're past 11:30. We've gone almost 2.5 hours. All right, thanks for dropping by. Once again, thanks to Nino and Niko. Thanks to all of you for sorting through everything in hour number 1. Once again, tomorrow, remember, get you ready for the weekend. We'll probably end up running a bit of the Steve Livingston interview tomorrow about Sporting Jacks. Try and catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. Find out what's going on there because things are continuing to grow at Rhode Island FC with the signing of Maxi Rodriguez yesterday and everything going on there. Get you ready for the weekend and anything else that pops up into our brains here on the morning show on SDH AM. So that is yet another day with us here where we have gone all around the planet and come back around. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. So mucha platial, play it safe, and be good to each other, be kind to each other. And as our friend Sergeant Phil Esterhaus always says,
hey, let's be careful out there.
What he said. See you tomorrow in less than 20.